Welcome everyone to the Almost Cancelled TV News podcast. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Connor.
Yeah, fresh from work.
That's why you're in such a good mood, is it?
I got home like half an hour ago.
Yes, and
It was a late night.
Aye, well, yeah, we're almost at 5 a.m. Recording right now. So, when you're listening to this tomorrow when it goes up, just be grateful. Have sympathy too, sure. But yes,
I'm not expecting sympathy from you. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. Oof. Yeah, there was a fat chance of that happening. But welcome to the show, everyone. We got renewals, cancellations. We got a lot of cancellations this week, actually. We got new shows.
Time of year, I guess.
Yeah, we got new shows to talk about, and we got all sorts of shenanigans to get into. So we'll get into that in just a moment. Just before we get into the actual news, though, I just want to say I've been rewatching Stranger Things. I just finished season 1 today and watched the first episode of season 2. It's been interesting to go back and revisit it, I have to say.
Does it hold up?
Yeah, it holds up. It's interesting going back, though, because obviously certain characters, Steve's the one that mainly I'm thinking of, who kind of became like
from season 2 onwards.
Yeah, but became like who we like him as in season 2. So it's interesting. I was like, oh, how am I going to feel watching season 1 again with his? And he still plays the role he's playing in season 1, so it's not like he's suddenly better. But there is kind of this like, I know he's going to get better. So it's, you just kind of go with it. I will say by far the worst thing in season 1 of Stranger Things is Jonathan. And maybe if you'd asked me or pushed me for a response at the time, I'd have landed him if I thought about it. But I think watching it this time, like, he's really trying to do the moody, sensitive,
really mopey
character. Yeah, it's a little bit of a caricature, whereas everyone else feels very natural in the roles. He comes off a little bit more just kind of two-dimensional. But I mean, it's a minor quibble. Like the season does by and large hold up very well. I will say seasons 2 and 3 does have a lot more monster action, so season 1 does feel a little bit more stripped back by comparison compared to the
season 1. Again,
seasons.
I haven't watched it since it came out, so memory. It's more about the mystery, right?
Kind of, yeah.
The investigation. What's going on?
Yeah, and I think there is kind of an element of going back, and because you know where it goes, and there's been so much fun stuff once they know more. That little sort of thing does kind of hinder it a little bit on a repeat viewing. But it's interesting. I'm really excited about season 2 because I watched the first episode, and I think it occurred to me as I was watching the first episode of season 2 is that a lot more of season 2, I think for whatever reason, has faded in my memory compared to 1 and 3. Obviously, I remember a lot of the broad strokes, but there's a lot of little things going into season 2 that I didn't remember. Like, I didn't remember that Steve and Nancy were actually still a couple going into season 2. I'd forgotten that was a thing then. I'd forgotten a couple of little details from the season 1 finale and the season 2 opener. So I'm actually quite excited to see season 2 play out again.
Well, this time next week, I'll be interested to see if you still hold the same controversial opinion about a certain season 2 episode.
Oh, sure, yeah.
See if you've changed over the years.
Yeah, I think my opinion of season 2 when we reviewed it when it came out was it's not as consistent as season 1, but the highs are higher. And my feeling going into it now after watching season 1 again is that I think I'm going to have the same opinion because I'm really excited about some of the I know some of the big stuff that's coming in the later episodes this season, and I'm super excited about it. But I completely forgot that the reporter character doesn't even show up until season 2. He's like a new addition in season 2, episode 1. Yeah. I knew Max was like a season 2 character because it was very memorable, like her and her brother coming out of the show. But
that was a whole thing. Yeah.
So all that stuff, the arcade, that's all start of season 2. The Ghostbusters bit's not in episode 1 though. That wasn't in the first episode. That's presumably in the next 1 or 2. So. Yeah,
must be. Yeah. Again, obviously, memorable bits. I'm pretty sure that was in the trailer as well, right?
Yeah. That was in the trailer. Well, I mean, the costume was in the trailer, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I thought I'd give a little bit of a report on rewatching and that. Since I don't tend to rewatch shows too often, I tend to favor just watching movies that I've not seen before. But once in a while, it's worth doing. So
if I'm rewatching TV shows, 9 times out of 10, it's a sitcom.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I do rewatch sitcoms a lot more because they're just sort of comfort food. but once in a while I like to make time. And with Stranger Things coming back, it's been such a long gap. I wanted to, because I kind of wanted to rewatch 1 and 2 before 3, and I never found the time to. So it's been such a long gap since 3 that I thought, no, I'm definitely doing it before 4. Especially since 4 and 5 feel like they're going to be a 2-part finale of sorts. So I thought, not that I was going to be confused by anything in the new season, but it was just nice to have a refresher about Dr. Brenner and all that stuff, and to kind of just get all that back in my head. So I've kept this as spoiler light as possible.
Yeah. I don't know if I will rewatch it. I could probably force myself to find the time, but I find it easier just to watch short episodes, like 20-minute episodes. Not even necessarily sitcoms. I'm watching anime lately, or Doctor Who, like old classic Doctor Who, which are like 25-minute episodes. I find it easier to put one of those on, and then, or maybe I'll put a second one on if I feel like it afterwards, as opposed to committing myself down to 40 minutes, or more likely in the case of a Netflix show, closer to an hour these days.
Yeah, but I had a good time. I'll report back on however far I get by next week. It took me about a week and a half. I started about a week and a half ago, and that's where I am now. But there's been a couple of days where I've watched 2, so obviously there's days that I've not watched any because I've been busy. But I make it. I've got about a month now to do.
You've got more than enough time given where you are.
Yeah. I mean, it's only 25 episodes total, and I've already done 9. So
yeah, I think you're good.
We're doing fine. But yeah, so cool. How we get to news then? Let's talk about stuff that's going on. Unless you've got anything you want to get off your chest.
No, I've mainly been watching anime.
Let's not talk about that. Let's just get to the news.
Very briefly, the 2 new season animes I've been watching: Spy Family, which is a spy assassin and a psychic daughter, adopted family, a lot of fun, and Aoashi, which is a football, it's like soccer for the Americans anime, also very fun. It's sports anime.
A football anime. It's like you're just picking things that
it's from the same people who did is it Haikyuu, the volleyball one, which was pretty.
Why are you asking me?
I'm asking you. More rhetorical, more maybe to the audience. They might know the volleyball anime.
Would you believe that I have not watched any volleyball animes?
Hey, it's pretty well regarded. You might have done. How do I know?
You knew very well.
You definitely go away at night and watch a little sports anime in the corner. Secret.
Hiding that behind the porn, the really embarrassing porns in front of the sports animes.
Yeah. Oh, quick, throw the Playboys on top.
All right, let's get to the TV news. Star Wars renewals and cancellations. A couple of renewals aren't particularly notable to us, but felt worth mentioning. Blue Bloods has been renewed for season 13 at CBS.
What?
I know. I remember the start. I remember it being advertised. I must have been around 2011-ish, given that it's been renewed for season 13. But yeah, you know what? If nothing else, I'm happy Tom Selleck's had that really nice, steady, probably pretty decent paycheck for over a decade now.
Do you know what? CBS are, probably speaking objectively, the biggest of the basic networks.
They get the highest audience for most of their shows,
right? Which means they probably get the most from advertising and can pay their bankable stars in their long-running shows a pretty decent paycheck, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, I mean, he definitely did not sign a 13-year deal when he started the show. So at some point, probably after 5 seasons, maybe 6 or 7, he got a pay rise that was significant to keep him around. And
he had a name going in, so he probably managed to get a pretty decent starting package compared to some others that you get on these shows.
Oh yeah, he definitely had a higher pay than anyone else when the show started, and probably still does, I imagine.
Probably, yeah. Which, fair enough.
Yeah. So that's still kicking. And then another renewal we had, which I hadn't even heard of this show, but it's Isla Fisher and Josh Gad in a show called Wolf Like Me. It's a comedy. Well, it's 6 episodes, but it was a comedy on Peacock, which came out in January. And it's been renewed for season 2.
I've not heard of it, but 6-episode comedy. Are we sure it's not a British show?
I mean, I've heard Isla Fisher do a Scottish accent before, so I mean, but Josh Gad's pretty American.
He is. I've just made a joke of how we tend to love the 6-episode sitcom.
Aye, but this is the Peacock era.
Oh, this is where they're bringing it in. They're like, those Brits, they're doing it right. Let's do the 6-episode sitcoms.
No, 6 episodes is too short for a sitcom. I've always hated that British sitcoms that are good only have 6 episodes.
I'm not saying it's the right choice. I'm just saying that is.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The upside is that typically you have the one writer who does all the episodes, and that's like the upside to it. But the downside is that even a show that lasts 5 years only has like 20 episodes, and that sucks.
Yeah. And also, they're not yearly, are they? Let's be honest. British TV does not subscribe to seasons in the same. There's a reason, over here they're called series and not seasons, because they don't adhere to a TV season in the same way. It's more just you'll get one when you get one. Maybe every 18 months, maybe every 2 years. Who knows? Just whenever.
Aye. Anyway, that's been renewed. So there you go. Cancellations, though, we got a lot more of those. So let's start with the one that will kind of hit the hardest in some ways, and that is Legends of Tomorrow has been cancelled at the CW after 7 seasons. It did not get a final season. They did not know it was its final. In fact, I looked it up. It ended on a cliffhanger. There is the possibility they will do some sort of cameo episode and something else to like wrap up the cliffhanger, but I mean,
that's a shame. I'll still probably watch. I've got a couple of seasons to go back and watch, and I'll probably still enjoy it.
I mean, so do I. I think I have 3 seasons to go back and like just watch. I have to admit though, knowing that it ends with a cliffhanger with no definitive ending does sour a teensy bit. Not that I think it'll matter like for most of
maybe
it,
a tiny amount, but because of what the show is anyway, I can kind of look past it, I guess, a little bit more than I would with some other shows.
Yeah. There's definitely like 3 or 4 characters in this photo that I do not recognize. So clearly, there's been some additions over the last couple of years. It is weird for CW. Obviously, the big elephant in the room right now is that there's this Warner Discovery merger just happened, and these things that might seem a little out of character for the CW to do might because of that. Like this might be a direct effect of Warner Discovery with the new management people in places might not want as many superhero shows. They may not want, at least not them on network TV.
I was going to say they might want to consolidate them into HBO Max a bit more.
Yeah, there was talk a couple of weeks ago about them wanting a Feige-like figure to oversee like DC's entertainment and all that. I don't want to get into speculating and all that, but that would sort of lead on to a knock-on effect of these existing things that maybe, unless they're doing particularly well, or maybe it's just lucky for The Flash that it had already been renewed for a special like 9th season and it's still coming back for at least one more.
It feels like it could be a similar situation to what we had with the Marvel shows on Netflix, where they ran their course, they got the seasons that they were kind of contractually obliged to, but once things, once they made that decision to, in their case it was Disney Plus. Once they made that decision that this was happening, it's kind of like no more of those now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and the reason why I say why I'm speculating specifically about this this Warner Discovery thing, I'm so used to saying the new name. Warner Discovery is the company now.
That's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah. Obviously, you still. Obviously, the movie studio is still Warner Brothers. You still think of it as that, but we're talking about the greater thing. It's Warner Discovery. What's interesting about it is, one, it's out of character for CW not to at least sort of say, "Oh, you're getting one last 10-episode season to go," especially for the longer running shows. But this is not the only casualty today. They also cancelled Batwoman after its 3rd season. Now, this one happened first, the cancellation. This was a few hours earlier. And when I saw that, I went, because of the whole recasting controversy at the end of season 1 going into season 2, there's an argument to be made that it was kind of hindered. Maybe the writing had been on the wall for a while. Maybe the fact that it even got to a 3rd season was kind of impressive, given all the weird stuff around it.
I can buy that maybe its figures were lower.
Yeah. So I wasn't necessarily jumping to any conclusions with that on its own, but then Legends came into it, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure Legends does worse than Flash, it almost definitely does, but it was like, okay, this is extremely out of character for CW now to be just cancelling things willy-nilly like this. Now, admittedly, if they're getting rid of these because they're really feeling good about this Babylon 5 reboot for next season, then yes, I'll steam ahead.
Are they down to just Flash now then?
And Superman and Stargirl.
I forgot about that. Stargirl's a weird one because that's obviously a summer show.
Yeah, it's a little bit separate, yeah. Superman, I mean, it's not been renewed for next year, I don't think yet, but it's not been cancelled. So
that's true, yeah.
And they're developing 2 other shows right now, so there's still going to be a bouquet of shows. But
what happened with Naomi?
Oh yeah, that I don't know. I don't think it's been cancelled or anything yet.
No,
I just hadn't thought of that yet. But
I'll be honest. After the first episode aired, I just didn't see anything about it at all on my Twitter, at least. Like these other shows, I still see the odd thing.
Yeah, that was the other thing about Batwoman is that they're actually developing another show called Gotham Knights that kind of feels like that's just going to replace that anyway. That's why this has been cancelled. So that was another thing.
CW or HBO Max, that one?
CW, actually. I think, if I remember right, yeah. So you have that. You have the Diggle one where he's training like college students to be heroes or something. Now, admittedly, maybe these things won't actually go through anymore because of all this.
Obviously, a lot of those were just pilot orders, right? So we'll see. So
we'll see what they do. I mean, this could be less a creative change in direction and just a harsher. Oh, they're not successful enough. Now the line to stay afloat is a little bit tougher at CW than it was, and that's why these have been cut. Rather than we're getting away from doing superhero shows, they just have to do better. It could be that.
That's possible, yeah.
But regardless, it's kind of funny because obviously we have kind of largely just left them behind. We left them behind at Crisis. That was kind of our finale of sorts for the whole thing. And Legends stings a little bit because that was a really good show. But by and large, I don't really care what's happening to these shows now.
Yeah. It sucks to say it, but yeah.
So I'm not necessarily. Obviously, a lot of people just lost a job. That sucks. But other than that, like I don't really care that much about the actual shows, except Legends, which I do like and do plan on watching those last 3 seasons at some point when I'm in the mood. But
yes, it's an easy watch, Legends, or at least it always was.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea if they maintain the quality, but at least the 4 seasons we watched, 3 of those 4 seasons were really good anyway. First one sucked, but the 2 to 4 were great. As you know,
and I've got no reason to assume that changed afterwards. I didn't hear anyone talking about it getting any worse or anything like that.
Yeah. So I also didn't hear anyone talking about it at all. But
I still see the odd thing about it. I know there was actually like in the last few weeks there was a whole fan campaign to try and get it renewed. Which obviously fell through.
Didn't go very well.
I did see a lot of like the actors kind of sharing out tweets of like experiences on the show and how they'd love to do more, that sort of stuff. The usual.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously things shaking up at the CW a little bit, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe, and it's entirely possible that they won't be replaced with anything we actually want to watch anyway. The only thing of note, like that I mentioned already, was the Babylon 5 reboot, which is not coming this coming season. They pushed it to next pilot season, which does sound quite bad, but the JMS did speak about how there's some people working at the CW who are really positive about it. They're just wanting to give it. So
they just need the space to have more Riverdale and Powerpuff Girls.
Because keep in mind, they do have Nancy Drew. They have the Nancy Drew spin-off coming with the guy. They have Riverdale. They not doing another Riverdale spin-off, if I remember right.
It's not a Sabrina one or something.
Oh, Sabrina was on Netflix. That's already happened.
Yeah, I know, but are they not doing something with Sabrina in a spin-off on CW again now?
Oh, I can't remember. I don't know. So much going on.
I genuinely thought they were, although I could be completely wrong.
And they've still got Roswell, Walker, Texas Ranger, and they've got Dynasties. That's still somehow going. Yeah. So they've got a lot of other things to fill the schedule. But it does, I do wonder if they're going to try and up their prestige a little bit. They're a network, so probably not, but it's wishful thinking.
The reality is, well, maybe this has changed with new management, but up until then, I think they knew their audience.
Sure.
Because as much as it's not for us, for the most part, I think there is clearly an audience for that, and they know who it is. And there's a reason their shows, much like we mock CBS, right? Like they have a type of a show.
Yeah.
Their audience laps it up, and I think the same is true with most of the CW shows. From what I know of them.
From the rest of the things I just said, I do think the superhero ones clearly peaked and have been on a decline, and not just because we stopped watching them. I feel like less people talk about them. There's definitely less impact from them seen on the internet. So, there was a time when we had...
can't keep up with those crazy Riverdale headlines.
But there was a time when there was like 6 concurrent shows all connected, running at the same time. I mean, they weren't on literally the same weeks because two would share a slot,
like 4 or 5 a week.
Yeah. So clearly those days might be a little over. Maybe maybe it'll be only over 3 a week at most, just because.
I think it's notable that the newer shows they've had have tended to not feel so connected. I mean, even Superman and Lois, which allegedly the claim still is somehow.
Apparently they're addressing that this season, which means they might throw a little swerve and.
Right, but it hasn't felt. It's felt pretty separate. Stargirl obviously has its own circumstances, but is fundamentally separate. Naomi's separate.
Yeah.
So that's probably why there's less talk of them, because they have to stand on their own rather than being this interconnected behemoth.
Yeah, I mean, it says a lot that when I did the pilot vote in Patreon for like it was January, Naomi got like no votes. No one cared about me checking out the pilot for Naomi and reviewing it. The interest in those types of shows.
The only reason I know it came out and existed was because I saw comic creators on Twitter, like Bendis, going, "Hey, look, this is a thing. It's real now," and like good for them, obviously. But that is about the only time I saw anything about it online.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm even kind of paying attention to the CW is because I do like the idea of a new Babylon 5 with JMS at the helm. Okay. It does feel like it'd be a better fit in HBO Max, to be honest, but at the same time, like, maybe he just wants more episodes. He'd get more episodes at the CW. So, it was meant to be a 5-season saga in the first place, and if he wants to reimagine it in that...
He's an old school writer as well, isn't he? So, he might want it that way.
He may very well. And there's the odd clunker in the original Babylon 5, but by and large, he used a lot of those episodes well. So, I mean, very curious, but... We'll see. But yeah, so Legends of Tomorrow and Batwoman both done. And of course, I already saw someone, that famous photo of Grant Gustin posing next to the gravestone. And someone's put in Arrow, Supergirl, all the shows that have cancelled with their years. And Grant Gustin just posing next to it because The Flash is still going.
Look, I have a lot of bad things to say about that show. But that is a good meme. And I'm glad it exists.
It's an amusing meme. I will give it that. All right, more cancellations. We're going to Netflix now, though. Space Force has been cancelled after 2 seasons, which seems to be Netflix's magic number these days. It
used to be 3. So
and now you don't even get a 3rd and final season to wrap things up. You're just cancelled.
This is not surprising, given all the recent Netflix news. Apparently, their animation department has been trashed.
Well, they had their first ever Lost for a quarter, I believe. Was that something?
Yeah, they're again unsubstantiated right now, but they're looking into maybe doing an advertising tier.
I should rephrase that. Their first ever decrease in subscribers, I think, for a quarter, not a loss, because they've technically been operating at a loss the entire time, I believe. But
they are debt riddled.
Yeah, I've never even tried this show. It didn't look very good.
I remember watching the trailer and being like, maybe not.
Yeah. And then speaking of that, Netflix that is, and then speaking of 2 seasons, Raising Dion has been cancelled after 2 seasons as well.
Yeah, I'm not too sad about that one.
I mean, season 1 was okay.
It was fine.
It was watchable.
It was fine.
But yeah, so honestly, it is getting to a point now where you really can't trust any Netflix show to be worth investing in, because they're cancelling everything left and right. There's only a few key things that seem to be safe from it.
Yeah. I think that is just a case of these shows that they're cancelling right now. They were still, they were borrowing a lot of money because of the subscriber growth they could, so they looked expensive. They were expensive. I think the ones you will see now going forward will either be the expensive shows they're confident in, and you will probably get a few seasons out of them, like things like The Crown, or they'll be cheaper shows and they'll probably be able to run longer to compensate.
Do you know what this is? This the now decline of Netflix and its popularity because there's rival streaming services and their price keeps going up and they're making really mediocre original content by and large. This is all karma for cancelling the OA. So, sorry Netflix, but if you die, you die.
At least we got all 3 seasons of Dark.
That's true. Yes, I am pleased we got the complete story of Dark. I'm glad that Stranger Things will get to finish off on its proper terms. But yeah, by and large, Netflix is there was a golden period for about 2 years, 2016, 2017, where almost every other week there was some interesting original show start. Whether it would be Mindhunter, The OA, Travelers, there was just things constantly.
Yeah, you had those Dark, 3%, Kingdom.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot of like good things, like even if not like everything was the best show ever, like there was a lot of like, oh no, this is worth watching.
Yeah. There's been the odd like import or something that's been worth watching since, but by and large, a lot of the original content has been. I mean, hell, they even decide not to keep making Mystery Science Theater. They had to go back to Kickstarter, which luckily was very successful. They're doing a season 13, which is all self-funded.
Do you know what one of their most successful departments is?
Cancellation department.
Probably, but genuinely, anime. Their anime department is like one of their only things that is profitable, so to speak. You know, in terms of its metrics and the amount it pulls in, because weebs will pay, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, if you offer it, the weebs will come.
Yeah, and you know, Netflix, as time goes on, it's losing a lot of its third-party content, so it's getting into a really rough place now where it's more expensive than almost every other streaming service, but has fewer and fewer content seemingly worth watching. Because at least when you go to HBO Max or you go to Disney Plus, regardless of what you think of those libraries, they do have decades and decades of movies that they were making before the streaming service that is bound to have at least some worthwhile things included in them. So yeah, there's the whole thing here. And you know, even Amazon, you know, them buying MGM, like, you know, part of that is to again bolster that content library.
Hey, they made a big deal about, hey, all the Bond movies are coming to Prime, and I know you're not a Bond fan, but it is objectively a big selling point. Like, that will almost guarantee some people will sign up at some point because hey, I'll watch the Bond movies.
Yeah, I mean, I'm you know me, I'm firmly in the camp of pay a little per movie to get that in better quality. But yeah, for people who,
that's not the reality of most people.
Yes,
and I mean, Amazon's streaming bit rate's not terrible. It's not great, but it's better than some of the others.
Their HD is better than Netflix, although Netflix's 4K is better than Amazon's 4K. It's a weird yin and yang. Disney Plus is actually very good.
It is, yeah.
It's bested only by Apple TV Plus, which is like, do you know, Apple TV, this is actually almost like, this is funny, I always praise, and this is only if you're watching on an Apple TV device, admittedly, make that clear, but if you're watching Apple bought content, so movies, TV shows, on an Apple TV device, it is by far the best digital stream quality you can get. However, their original content as part of Apple TV Plus has an even higher bit rate than the bot content does. Their original shows stream at like 40 meg per second.
Why, Ted Lasso looks fantastic.
It does. It looks phenomenal.
Do you know what that part of that is why there was a whole thing of people thought Roy Kent was a CGI creation because it just doesn't look, because he has just a slightly off facial structure, and then with the way they light that show, and then the higher than usual bitrate that most people are used to, you know, they're not used to seeing. People were like, he's not a real person. He's a CGI thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that much more than the stuff you buy on their store, but it's a little bit higher. It's the highest that I have seen reported of any
also
video streaming.
Go watch Ted Lasso if you haven't.
Oh yeah, by all means, we'll watch Ted Lasso. And Severance, if you're on there with Ted Lasso, you may as well watch Severance as well, which is also on Apple TV Plus.
I've not watched it yet. Too much watching sports anime, clearly.
You sicken me.
Hey, Ted Lasso, football anime, it's basically the same thing. Ted Lasso could be a sports anime.
Oh dear. All right. So, we got a premiere date. We got one premiere date. For a HBO show called Irma Vep, which is a limited series based on Oliver Assayas. I can't say his name properly, to be honest. Assayas? Yeah, Assayas. I'll go with Assayas. Oliver Assayas. His 1996 feature film starred Alicia Vikander. The new show star Alicia Vikander, not the 1996 film. Just to make that clear.
I was going to say, that would be weird.
She was probably pretty young in 1996.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure she's younger than me, and I was 7 in 1996.
Yeah, I think she's not too far off my age.
Yeah. So she'd be like 2 or 3 or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, so he's did a limited series based on his own movie. It's going to debut on HBO on the 6th of June, which is a Monday. Probably taking that We Own This City slot, because that'll be wrapping up just before then, I think. So yeah, and it's going to be available on HBO Max as well, of course, as all the HBO content is. So written and directed by Assayas, Irma Vep centers on Mira, played by Vikander, an American movie star disillusioned by her career and a recent breakup, who comes to France to star as Irma Vep in a remake of the French silent film classic Les Vampires. Set against the backdrop of a lurid crime thriller, Mira struggles as the distinctions between herself and the character she plays begin to blur and merge. Irma Vep reveals to us the uncertain ground that lies at the border of fiction and the reality, artifice, and authenticity of art and life.
Ooh.
I feel like, I mean, it was very fruity way I said it, but I feel like professional and personal was in there.
I think it was as well. Yeah. A couple of things. I will drink in a moment,
yes.
But just I will give my thoughts.
By all means.
I've not seen the original stuff that this is based on, but I've seen this idea in various media. That theme, that specific story of losing themselves in the. I mean, was a Black Swan too is a pretty similar example, right?
Yeah.
Which I'm very open to. That sounds interesting. And just one other point, Alicia Vikander is older than you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She's 188.
Oh, only 1 year older, but still.
I know, but still.
Well, she looks great. What can I say? I thought she was younger.
That is the least surprising thing you have said all night.
Actually, one of the photos here in the article for this, she's got like a catsuit on with heels, and she's on like a rooftop, and she's not got a mask, but she's got like a full face open balaclava, and I'm like, it looks like she's auditioning for Catwoman, to be honest. The Eiffel Tower's in the background. It's got like a real sort of cat thief.
Yeah. I see a little very, very small thumbnail of that.
Yeah. Very Catwoman-esque. But that role's wrapped up for a few years, I'm afraid. So she's going to have to wait. So we got some general things. This is mostly some casting stuff and some other tidbits before we get to the in-depth new show stuff. So there was a story a week or two ago about Frank Langella being booted from the Fall of House of Usher because of allegations. He has been replaced. Bruce Greenwood has replaced him in the role. So pretty decent actor to slot in, I would say.
Didn't take him long.
No. You might know him as Pike, not on the new Star Trek shows, but in the 2009 film series.
Yep.
So, but obviously he's done all this stuff. That's just the first thing that came to my mind when I heard his name. So, yeah. 8-episode limited series based on the works of Edgar Allan Poe. Obviously, it was a famous movie with Vincent Price from the 60s, which you may or may not have seen.
I have not, but I'm familiar with the works of Poe, so.
Well, I have seen it because, it's called cinema, sweetheart.
And you're a sucker.
I'm a sucker.
You see it went, oh, yeah, I've definitely got to see that one.
I'm a sucker because I sought out a Vincent Price box set and thought I'm going to work through these bad boys.
Yeah, okay. You're a sucker.
All right. Next up was, I know you care about these Walking Dead news stories, so here's
how is there more?
Well, it's not a news show at least. This is just a story that one of the spin-offs, which was meant to be the Daryl and Carol spin-off, it will now just be Daryl because the actress who plays Carol has decided to exit before it starts. She wants to take a break for whatever reason, and it's just going to be a Daryl spin-off now with Norman Reedus.
Two thoughts.
Yeah.
One, they definitely only paired them up as a spin-off because their names rhymed. Two, if you got to have one character to carry a spin-off on their own, it would have been him, right?
Well, there's another spin-off with other characters, but yeah, sure, yeah. There's
but if you've got to have one character carrying, a spin-off entirely on their own, not like oh yeah, we'll pair them up, we'll split them into smaller groups. I know, just one on their own. It probably would have been him, wouldn't it? Like the whole time.
Apparently, there was some toxicity online. Some fans were blaming Norman Reedus for her leaving the show when seemingly it was just her choice on her own. So I don't know why. The only reason why I even know that is because there was an article with the actor who plays Negan, what's his face from all the things, Supernatural and Watchmen and stuff. He basically put out a statement saying, about the toxic fandom and saying, no, like, give him a break. It has nothing to do with him. Like, an actor made a personal choice not to take a project, and that's it. So, they thought maybe he scared her off or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what they thought, but I'm assuming this has come from nothing except someone's random tweet.
Oh, for sure. So yeah, this is Melissa McBride has exited the spin-off. So now it's just a Daryl spin-off, which, now they can like name it better. They could. Do you know what they should call it? They should call it like, how he's into motorbikes and he's got like a motorbike show as well on AMC. They should call it Ride of the Walking Dead or something. They could just name it after him now. Just give it a name that fits him and just go from there.
I mean, let's be honest. It wasn't going to be a very inventive name anyway on these Walking Dead shows, was it?
I don't know. Fear the Walking Dead, like, it doesn't tell me anything about why it's different from the regular Walking Dead show. It's just another generic.
You should be afraid of the Walking Dead. You
should be afraid of the Walking Dead in the main show too. At least Road of the Walking Dead would tell me, oh, it's more of a journey, this one, and
it's changed from ride to road in the last 30 seconds.
Oh, right, whatever. Pick your word that are related to each other. I don't care.
Let's be honest. No to AMC.
Or just actually call it the Walking Daryl, just for the laugh. All right. So that's that little tidbit. I'm glad you had so much fun with it. Next up, an actress has left the Boys spin-off, the one that's set at the college with the younger heroes. Now, this isn't actually that big. I wouldn't have put this on it just for what it is on its own, because the actress leaving is Rena Hardesty is leaving. That's not a big deal. We don't really know who that is or who they were playing, really. But she was one of 6 that were cast in the 6 lead roles. The reason why I'm putting this in here is because she's now the 3rd person of the main cast to leave and will be recast. It's a bit sketchy on the reasons exactly. Like, there might be a creative direction shift. I would be curious if maybe like delays from the pandemic maybe led to some actors needing to pull out or something like that, or
possible. Yeah.
But I'm not sure. But like half of the cast that were originally announced to be in the show, which was a while ago, because this was before we took our break. This was like way back when we were still doing the news before. So, yeah. So that was the part that was really worth mentioning, rather than who it was, because I don't recognize any of these names. But for the record, the other actors who already left were Amy Carrero and Shane Paul McGee. So,
yep, no idea.
Yeah, you heard of them. But I felt worth mentioning because it was 3 of them. But no,
I remember when there was a big casting announcement for these, and we went through because it had like some vague character descriptions, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And we were like, I don't know anyone in this show.
No, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. That doesn't mean it's a bad show. It just means we don't know anyone.
Yeah. Next up. You're excited for Dune, the Sisterhood, the spin-off show for the Dune film that came out. So Johan Renck is going to direct the first 2 episodes. Who is that, you might ask? Well, he directed...
I am asking.
Well, good. Because he directed the excellent Chernobyl limited series. So this is a great, great pick. What are you wondering about?
You know for a fact the direction was a big part of my problem with that show.
The direction of that show was immaculate. It was fantastic.
It was what I disliked about it.
You are such a weirdo. Everyone disagrees with you on this. We
have been over this. Yes, I know people are... I know everyone that disagrees with me on this. That's fine. That doesn't mean I have to like it.
The lone ginger sitting in the forest on his own next to his little tent says Connor's tent.
I'm sorry that I have convictions.
Connor's tent has shitty opinions, and in it Connor sits with his arms folded.
I'm not telling you to share my opinion. I'm not telling you that I'm right and you're wrong. I'm saying that that's what I didn't like about it.
Hopefully it rains in this forest and the fire goes out and he's sitting there cold in the tent.
Well, screw you. I got one of those little snap pocket things that heats up when you snap them.
I don't even know the name of them, but you got one.
Well, the little hand warmer things, but like a big one. A big one. I'll snap it. It'll be fine. It'll be cool. No, it won't be cool. It'll be warm, damn it.
You clearly know your stuff. You sound so confident and got all the right terminology.
Hey, I've been camping. I know what I'm doing.
I've been camping once in 2002.
Hey, no, I used to go camping like every 2 weeks.
When was the last time you went camping?
A decade ago.
Yes. So this is the director they've got for Dune: The Sisterhood. So there you go. And then next thing up, we're at the shows now. We're at the comedies. There's only one comedy actually, but you can.
Is it a CBS comedy?
No.
Oh, nice surprise.
In fact, I think you're going to quite like this.
Oh, do enlighten me.
HBO Max has given a 10-episode series order to Noonans.
Hell yeah.
Yes, this is an animated spin-off of the Harley Quinn animated series that's been ongoing. It comes from the same team of creators by and large. So yeah, a bunch of them are producing it, including Kelly Kyoko. I'm probably butchering the name. I'm pretty sure I learned how to name it, how to say it at one point, and I've totally forgotten. But yes, this is based on the characters from DC. Noonans revolves around lovable loser Kite Man, voiced by Matt Oberg, and his new squeeze Golden Glider. He's dating Golden Glider?
He had a whole thing with Ivy.
Oh, really? But he's with Golden Glider now.
Yes.
From the Flash's Rogues Gallery.
Ivy left him at the altar for Harley.
Oh dear.
It was a whole thing.
So anyway, they moonlight as criminals to support their foolish purchase of Noonans, Gotham's seediest dive bar where everybody knows your name, but not necessarily your secret identity. That's a nice play on words at the end. That's very good. It's a nice spin on the Cheers thing.
I've been they kind of announced this was up for production. We're looking into it a little while ago, and I have been very excited for it ever since because this sounds perfect. Because the comedy on that show is already spectacular. It's very funny. Kite Man is brilliant, and a lot of the villains in general are just fantastic. So just to see them all kind of coming in, we'll chill in the bar and just do that every episode. Oh, it's gonna be so good. I'm down.
Yeah, just hope Mr. Warner Discovery doesn't look at his sheets in a couple of weeks and goes, you know what, I've changed my mind. Axe that new animated show.
Don't let them dare. Can't come near it.
Yes.
It's precious and must be protected.
Yes. And I like the idea so much of Mr. Warner Discovery that I am now going to occasionally refer to him whenever it is relevant to
until you forget next week.
Until decisions of Warner Discovery come up. I'll remember, don't you worry. Mr. Warner Discovery.
We'll see.
Makes all the decisions at Warner Discovery.
Of course he does. Who else is going to do it?
All right, on to the dramas then. All right, first up, Netflix. So don't get attached. Don't get attached. Netflix have taken development for Confessions. This is a working title. It's a drama series starring and executive produced by the Vampire Diaries star Paul Wesley. Written and executive produced by Vampire Diaries co-developer and executive and showrunner Julie Plec. So you don't have to list everything. Every title they've got, like the most relevant one would be fine, I think. But whatever. So yes, Confessions, produced by Universal Television. And Aaron Kaplan's Capital Entertainment. I like the idea that when I say that, the audience say it along with me. I say Aaron Kaplan, and they all go Capital Entertainment together. Bruce Forsyth has the pantomime. Yeah, like Bruce Forsyth, of course, had the happy to see you, and then the crowd will go to see you nice. Yeah. That's our version of that. Aaron Kaplan, Capital Entertainment. Anyway, it's the Confessions, which is based on Jason Smith's nonfiction 2015 article, "The Confessions of a Drug-Addicted High School Teacher."
I had one of those.
Yeah, Smith's Smith's article chronicles his 2-year stint teaching public high school in Northern California. Despite teaching well anesthetized, I can't say that word.
Anesthetized? I don't know. I haven't got it in front of me.
Anesthetized. That sounds right. That sounds right. Like putting a th sound next to a Z and an S, like also close together, is just cruel on my tongue. Okay, it's cruel, and I won't stand for it.
Just learn English.
Anesthetized. I have to slow it down so I can say it properly, which in turn is not properly because I'm slowing it down. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. You nailed it. Let's move on. You can practice for next week. It's fine.
I'm not going to practice this. We forget it ever existed. By a heavy dose of prescription narcotics, Jason finds that his brokenness from addiction begins attracting broken students. And in a town obsessed with high school football, he's not alone in his obsession to escape from himself.
Sorry, is this about the highs and lows of high school football?
American football.
Riverdale reference.
Ah, I see. I didn't get it. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sure someone in our audience did, and someone will have appreciated that.
I'm sure they will have. Next up,
you haven't lived until you've experienced the highs and lows of high school football.
Shut up. Next up, Dave Eggers' book, The Every, a dystopian story, is works at HBO. They're going to adapt it into a TV show. So, yeah, this is the series follows the world's largest tech company, where I don't know, I think that's maybe who merges with the planet's it says when, which doesn't make any sense. Who merges with the planet's dominant e-commerce site, creating the richest and most dangerous, and oddly enough, the most beloved monopoly ever known, the Every. It follows Delaney Wells, an unlikely new hire at the Every. A former forest ranger and unwavering tech skeptic, she charms her way into an entry-level job with one goal in mind: to take down the company from within. With her compatriot, the not all ambitious Wes Makazian, they look for the Every's weakness, hoping to free humanity from the all-encompassing surveillance and the emoji-driven infantilization of the species.
Man, words do not like you today, do they?
Infantilization, that's how you say that. The emoji-driven infantilization. I've never said it before, though. When have I ever had a reason to whip out someone being infantilized? Infantilized.
Clearly you're not hanging out with the right people.
Anyway, but does anyone want what Delaney's fighting for? Does humanity truly want to be free? You can see how this is kind of relevant in today's world with social media and whatnot.
Yeah, social media combined with like Disney, with being so corporate and people hanging their identities on it. Here's the thing. I like what I think the show is trying to be. I think there's potential in that show, in the idea, the themes. I think that is a terrible description.
Sure.
It just is full of cliches and just sounds. I can feel it going through the motions in the description. And I'm hoping the show is better than that.
Oh, I have a slight amendment to make here.
Did you screw up again?
This was supposed to be in the comedy section. It's a half-hour comedy.
That changes things.
That changes things.
It does change things. That becomes less interesting for me.
Oh, really?
I think
okay.
it makes sense more with that description because, like I say, it's going through the motions. it's much more.
It could be
standard.
It could still be very satirical as a comedy, though. You can still say all the points.
And that could be fine. But I think that as a well done drama is more interesting to me.
Okay, there you go. Next up, Peter V. Brett's international best-selling sci-fi horror fantasy novel, The Warded Man, is being developed for TV by Rush Hour and The Hustle producer Roger Birnbaum and Mark Kimsey under their Electromagnetic Productions (EMP). Oh, that's a good acronym.
Good,
there you go. Very good. Very good. Very good. I like that.
They nailed that one.
Okay, that's way. I mean, the Rush Hour TV show was absolute trash fire from that pilot.
Let's not hold them responsible for that just yet, because I happen to be interested in this.
I'm going to read the description here for everyone else to get a gist of it. The Warded Man is set in a distant future where humanity is plagued by terrifying demons that emerge at night with supernatural powers and an all-consuming hatred of people. They are barely held at bay by the ancient and magical art of warding. I'm not liking the direction of this.
I knew you wouldn't.
Where locals paint mysterious symbols on houses and posts. What, like Jenny's a slut and things like that?
Yeah, clearly.
That's what I've seen painted on a house before.
What they do is they just draw memes.
Okay.
It's the power of meme.
All right, okay. With the fate of humanity hanging by a thread, one man takes it further, tattooing his body with the Lost Battle wards to teach humanity how to fight back from the verge of extinction. It is part one of a 5-part book, the first book. So if this does get picked up and becomes a success, then there's a nice simple 5-season plan potentially for it.
Yeah, I've got a handful of books by this author, including this one, waiting to be read in my stack of books that is my to read pile that just gets bigger and bigger, and somehow, even though I'm constantly reading them, I don't know, I got a problem. I keep buying books, but this is in my pile, so definitely interested. I'm not surprised that these sort of things again, TV shows, it's easy. It's not that it's easy to adapt, because obviously a lot of them fail, but it's easy to see, oh, you've got so much material there, right? Hey, here's a 5-book saga. There's an easy, nice plan that you can kind of just roll out.
Yeah. Is this sitting under above this in the pile? Is Gingers by Kieran Dodds like above it on the list?
It's not.
I literally just googled book about gingers so I could have a book to use for my joke.
Yeah. And you couldn't think of a better one than just Gingers.
I thought it was funny. There's a book called. It's a very serious book, but the looks of it, it's about from Europe's Celtic fringe to the Caribbean. Scottish photographer Kieran Dodds, stunning portrait. Oh, it's just portraits. It's not even a book. It's a book. I was
going to say,
but it's not.
Yeah,
it's not a written book. It's a book of photos. There's a few examples here of gingers.
Oh yeah, that's what we really need in the world. More pictures of gingers.
I mean, I've seen what they look like before, so I mean, it's not too shocking to me. But
no, I mean, you are from Scotland. I should hope you've seen gingers. You must have led a very sheltered life, if not.
Oh dear, I'm also looking at a ginger right now.
Well, there's that too. I was kind of. I'm assuming you'd met some before me.
Yes. I've met a few gingers in my time. Yes.
Yeah.
There's typically one or two per class in school, I'd say, on average.
Yeah, we probably have maybe 2 or 3 per year in my school.
Okay.
But a bit less, but that's to be expected. You're in ginger territory.
Aye, but Ireland's more ginger territory than Scotland is, I'd say.
It is, yeah.
Yes. We're number 2 for gingers. Ireland's number 1.
Yeah.
Never heard of a Caribbean ginger. I'd be curious of that.
I haven't either.
That's curious.
Maybe you should check out this book and find out.
The thing is, though, it's all just like, ginger standing in front of a plain black background with really dramatic lighting being photographed. That's all it is. It's just really dramatic photos of gingers. It's like they're not even in the wild.
Your birthday's coming up, right?
It's a mere few weeks away. Yes. That's correct.
What a present.
That's very a present I would enjoy. I don't know if I want the book of gingers though.
I feel like the book of gingers would enrich your life.
All right, next up. Technically, this is not a new show announcement, but we've not talked about it before, so I thought I'd throw this bit of casting here with the description of the show together into the new section, which is Christian Slater has joined the FX limited series Fleischman is in Trouble. he's going to join a cast that already includes Jesse Eisenberg, Lizzie Kaplan, and Claire Danes. So, pretty notable talent list on this one.
When as much as I love Christian Slater, don't get me wrong, but when he is probably like, on the bottom end of your talent pile here, that's a pretty stacked show.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's just him, then it could be Alone in the Dark. By Uwe Boll.
Yeah.
Which wasn't just him, admittedly, it was also Tara Reid, but I mean, star power there's a bit wavering.
Hey, that was around the time Tara Reid still had star power.
Yeah, so this is based on the debut best-selling novel by Taffy Brodesser-Akner. So the story centers on recently separated 40-something Toby Fleischman, played by Eisenberg.
40-something?
He's a 40-something now? God, we're getting old.
Wait, hang on.
He was like a college kid in the Social Network like a decade ago.
He is 38.
It's close enough you can pass for it.
Yeah, but I'm still thinking of him as the hotshot 17 to 20-year-old.
Well, I wasn't necessarily thinking about that, but I still certainly thought he was,
No, but if I picture him in my head, he is still like...
Well, that's because he feels like he's been playing the same character for the last 15 years.
Yeah, but like in my head, if I think of him, it is Social Network, Zombieland.
Aye.
Not mid-40s, getting up to that. Like
40-something. I feel like the existential crisis there reading that. 40-something's Jesse Eisenberg.
Have you ever felt so old?
Jeez. I mean, I know he's older than me, so I guess it makes sense that like he will be hitting it sooner rather than later, but like I just wasn't ready for him described as a 40-something.
Makes you aware of your own mortality.
Aye. Luckily, I'm still very much in my early 30s, thank you very much, even after the birthday, so...
Yeah.
You literally argue for years that you weren't in your mid-20s yet.
I am only just in my mid-20s.
What do you mean you're only just in your mid-20s?
All right, I'm coming out of my mid-20s. I'm still in my mid-20s.
Mid-20s is 24, 25, 26. That's your mid-20s. That's it.
No.
Okay, but if you're saying mid-20s is still the years before and after that, then technically you can't say that I'm... Well, I suppose you could say I'm coming out of my early 30s, but I wouldn't agree that I'm coming out of my early 30s.
Well, I'm telling you, you're coming out of your early 30s.
Yeah, whatever. It's your broken scale that's the problem here. Anyway, 40-something Toby Fleischman.
Yep.
Who dives into a brave new world of app-based dating with the kind of success he never had dating in his youth before he got married at the tail end of his medical school tenure. But just at the start of his first summer of sexual freedom, his ex-wife Rachel, played by Danes, disappears, leaving him with the kids and no hint of where she is or whether she plans to return. As he balances parenting, the return of old friends, a promotion at the hospital that is a long time coming, and all the eligible women in Manhattan that has to offer, he realizes he'll never be able to figure out what happened to Rachel until he can take a more honest look at what happened to their marriage in the first place. Yeah, Claire Danes feels more 40-something, just based on like the sort of thing she was in the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
She feels more like that age. Is this the first time where usually it's the actress who's the younger one because they just be like, oh, we got a hotter actress, a younger actress sort of thing. It's usually a really sexist thing. This actually feels like the first time I've seen it done the other way around, where it's the guy that happens to be a bit younger.
It's definitely not the first time, because I remember there was something last year with a really notable example. I can't remember what it was now for life, but I remember reading headlines.
Oh, I'm sure there's examples, but it's definitely not the common way around.
It's not. Just for reference, she's 43.
Aye, so yeah, she's
about 5 years older than him.
So yeah, she's a 40-something. Yeah, so that tracks in my head. That feels right, given when she was in... I don't like to think about Terminator 3, but...
What we're saying is she played more mature roles than he did.
Well, that's because he doesn't come off as mature in any way, shape, or form.
No.
If Michael...
It's going to be really hard to buy him in this, isn't it?
Yeah, if Michael Cera was busy, then Jesse Eisenberg could have been Scott Pilgrim. That's just... let's be honest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It would have been a worse movie for it.
Worse? Oof, jeez.
How dare you?
That doesn't bear thinking about. Jeez.
It is a perfect movie as it is. We're moving on before I have to deal with that face.
Yeah. Okay. So next up on the docket here, Hulu's Order series We Were the Lucky Ones, a limited series from old 320 Sycamore and 20th Television. It's based on Georgia Hunter's bestseller about a Jewish family separated at the start of World War II, yet determined to reunite. It is an 8-episode limited series. I don't see you cracking any jokes at this one. It's a very serious topic.
Do you want me to try?
Please don't. So this is someone writing about her own family. There's a bit of an interview piece here that talks about her like finding out when she was a teenager that she came from a family of Holocaust survivors, and her exploration of that. So obviously it's you can kind of see the potential here in a very emotional, hard-hitting limited series. Joey King will star in the project. Now, who is Joey King, you might ask?
I know who she is.
You know who she is?
Pretty sure I do, yeah.
Yeah, I know who she is too, but I mean, when I say you might ask, I don't necessarily mean you.
I mean, usually you do.
I'm speaking to the audience. You might know her from the hit horror film Wish Upon. I think that's what that was called.
That's not what it was called.
I had a really stupid name, a really stupid ending rather. I think it was called Wish Upon. She was also in like the first Conjuring, I think, if I remember right, and she's been in a couple other things like that. But yeah, so she's going to be in this. There you go. It's a Hulu show.
Cool. I haven't seen a Hulu show in a while.
How long has it been?
We're done here. Let's wrap it up. It's too late in the day for this.
Sometimes you've got a great stinker and you're going to do it anyway.
It's the pause of like, oh god, what's he got?
Alright, next up, HBO Max docuseries The Way Down, God, Greed and the Cult of Gwen Shamblin is going to be adapted into a scripted series. Also HBO Max, naturally. This is Ross Dinnerstein's Campfire Studios and Chrissy Teigen's Huntley Productions, who produced the docuseries on the cult-like figure Gwen Shamblin Lara, who rose to fame with her Way Down Workshop, a Christian-based diet program, and founded the Remnant Fellowship Church. So they're working on an adaptation. The Way Down is the legacy of Remnant's infamous leader, and the second part examines the mysterious circumstances surrounding the cause of the crash and investigation into the aftermath, including news stories from former survivors who felt compelled to share their experience. She was described as being like a cult leader and like all, that crazy type of character. So they're in talks with high profile actors. I imagine it may be a big starring vehicle for someone to play a character like this, I'd say.
Sounds like awards bait.
Yeah, a charismatic figure with carefully curated image who was accused of emotional, psychological, and physical abuse and exploitation.
I guarantee you this person gave speeches.
Oh, yeah.
Monologues. And any actor is like, oh, I want to give those.
Very possibly, yeah. So they're developing this into an actual scripted limited series. Makes sense. She has very memorable hair, going by these images.
Good to know.
Yeah. So there you go. Which leads us on to our final story of the week. And somehow Connor has dodged CBS.
No CBS, but I did have to drink twice today. So
there you go. The only CBS thing I remember seeing is like some actor is going to be a regular on Young Sheldon season 6. They've been promoted to a regular, and my thought was,
thrilling.
I was like, Season 6 already.
and yeah, here we are talking about it, despite you skipping that news story.
So I tell you, I thought you'd be mildly interested.
I wasn't. And speaking on behalf of the audience, because in case that was a you, the audience, they weren't either.
You don't know that. I think they enjoyed you being tortured with that. So yeah, a true crime story of the Murdaws, which includes money, power, family drama, corruption, local politics, drugs, and murder, is going to be the subject of a new drama series, which is in development at UCP, which is Universal Cable Productions, in case you're not familiar with that acronym. Michael D. Fuller from Lock and Key and Erin Lee Carr from Britney versus Spears. I assume that was about her fighting her father in the legal system.
I would assume so, yeah.
Well, create, write, and executive produce the series based on journalist Mandy Matney's popular Murdaugh Murders podcast. So we got a podcast adaptation happening here. The series aims to be a definitive account of Alex Murdaugh's stranger-than-fiction family drama based on countless hours of reporting by Matney, as well as exhaustive insider knowledge from privileged sources. Alex Murdaugh, a member of the prominent South Carolina Murdaugh legal family, has faced dozens of embezzlement and other criminal charges. He has named a person of interest in the gruesome murder of his wife and son, and alleged co-conspirator with his oxydone supplier, and assisted suicide and insurance fraud attempts. Additionally, Alex's sons and other members of the family have been linked to 2 deaths, and the death of his housekeeper is being investigated as suspicious. So very eventful surroundings with this.
It sounds absolutely wild as real events.
Yes.
I don't know how much I care to watch a TV show dramatizing it.
Depends how charismatic or interesting the guy is at the center of it all.
That's fair. But like for me personally, I just like that being that wild. Just like I want to read and just like let me read the reality of what the hell happened. And what this guy is.
You want the wiki page, not TV.
On the wiki page, yeah. Basically, I want the wiki page at 4 a.m. after I've had a couple of drinks.
Okay. So yeah, there you go. That's the final story. No network attached to that one. It's just UCP. So USA Network's the most lately placed, but they could also make it for somewhere else if they want to.
Yeah, it's not going on Sci-Fi, is it?
Well, no, of course not. But there you go. That's the news. That is the TV news.
I have survived.
I'd ask you what your favorite story of the week was, but it's probably going to be that animated spin-off announcement.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that and the Warded Man. That's probably my next one.
Oh, you're excited.
If I can't pick the Harley Quinn spin-off.
I never said you couldn't pick it. Oh, fine.
Yeah, but that would have been the cliche easy answer. That was the other one. Was the one that interests me.
Yeah, my favorite story this week is the Dune Sisterhood story because it upset you.
Yeah, I bet it is. Do you know what? I was looking forward to that show. Don't know why, but I was.
I'm still a little bit iffy on it because I'm not necessarily sure how much I care about that mythology side of it, but I will say this is a good director and it will definitely be better than it would have been before because of his inclusion. I think we should campaign to get Connor in the next book of Gingers when it's in production.
I think I let people take my picture.
I'm going to message the photographer and say, I've got a prime ginger.
I don't think you understand how few pictures there are of me. Despite the fact that there are probably hundreds of hours of me sat on camera.
Probably thousands at this point, to be honest.
Probably. That I'm fine with. Pictures? No, don't do them. Just for context, I've been with Paige over 10 years. I can count the amount of pictures we're in together probably on my hands.
I bet you had to buckle and do that handful of pictures, though.
Oh, every single one of them, yeah.
Yes, you had no say in the matter. It was happening.
Yeah. There are like, occasions where I'm like, yes, okay, fine. I suppose I have to have a picture here.
We're at a wedding. I just want to duck and not be in the photos.
Literally, one of them is her dad's wedding. Yeah. I do not do pictures. I despise it.
So if you happen to run into Connor on your out and about, you want an autograph or something, make sure you ask for a photo and insist on a photo.
don't blame me if I smash your phone.
Insist on a photo and say, do it, or I'll tell everyone online that you're awful. And
everyone knows that anyway.
Yeah, I suppose that's somewhat true. Oh well, there you go. That is this week's TV news. Thank you very much for joining us. You can, of course, head over to the Patreon, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, and support everything we do for as little as $1 per month, and keep all the content coming. Of course, check out the various TV things that went out this week. Obviously, we had another Star Trek. The top 5 episodes of Star Trek Next Generation Season 5 went out this week. For everyone.
Controversial list.
Yeah. Interesting list. Doesn't necessarily meet the average favorite episodes of that season. So go and have a look at that. I reviewed the first episode of We Own This City, the new HBO show, this week. So check that out. Of course, you can check out the episode of Picard when it goes up, and the new Babylon 5 that we did, me and Tara.
Soul.
Oh, of course, yeah, Better Call Saul. Yeah. Which is me and Connor.
Thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is definitely the exciting thing week to week. I'm just not used to us having another show that we're reviewing together going out.
It's weird, isn't it?
So yeah, that's up, and you can check out the episode 3 review of that right now. And of course, as always, I will poke you over to the Mail Fuzz Movies channel to go check out the movie podcast, Screams After Midnight, and the Atomic Cinema Experiment for long, in-depth discussions on various movies. In fact, the bonus episodes that go up on Patreon just went up for both of those shows. So just in case you're curious, and it's $1 to get access to all these bonus episodes that go up monthly. The Screams bonus episode was the 2021 film Karen.
Is it what I think it is?
It is a horror movie. Well, kind of. It's more of a thriller. Made by BET about a middle-aged white woman named Karen who harasses her new black neighbors. That is what the film is. It is.
Oh yes, it's exactly what you think it is.
Yes, it is laughable. I kind of recommend it as a bad movie. It does lose a bit of steam in the back half, but there's a lot of funny stuff in the first half. And then the bonus movie on the Atomic Cinema Experiment this month was Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe, which is a film starring Jesse the Body Ventura. Because how do you follow up Predator and The Running Man as your film career? You do Abraxas.
Sounds like it's a underrated gem. Forgotten classic.
I also recommended this as a bad movie, especially because I think the villain is hilarious. So go check those out. Thank you kindly. But that'll wrap up the TV News Podcast. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?